Tis apologized for coming so late to Red's house in the evening. Red didn't mind it, so she immediately explained that Lubo was looking for the Demon Lord's airship. Red was intrigued after reading about Esta winning against Ultra, a general of the demon's army. Rit wondered if she was serving the church, but Red thought she was a mercenary. Afterwards, she asked if they should really hand over the Demon Lord's airship to the church. Red thought the church could put it to good use, but he declared that they would stop them if they misused it, and he was more concerned with making sure the church couldn't find Rudy. Rudy and Tis were glad that they could save their herbs from the cold mold. Rudy was thankful for Red's advice and for Tiss's help in growing them. Afterwards, they planned how they could sell the herbs. Red wanted to buy their first harvest for his apothecary, but he also offered to help sell the rest to the Adventurers Guild, Clinics, and Merchants Guild. He thought he should help Rudy as her mentor in her slow life, so Rudy was overjoyed. Red visited Danon, who was busy training and trying to get in shape for combat. Red told Danon that he would miss him once he left, so Danon suggested that he join him to massacre the demon army, and he thought it was too bad when Red wanted to stay and ran his apothecary with Rit. Danon didn't try to change Red's mind, but he asked Red to spar with him before he left Zoltan. Rit was worried when she found out about it, but she also asked if Red could win. However, Red knew it was impossible as Danon's martial artist blessing and his love for combat were a perfect match, while his guide blessing only gave him skills meant to protect the young hero, so he was certain that he didn't have a chance. Rit was confused that he accepted to spar, but she also asked him to spar with her. Rit pouted, so they considered using Merciful Spell to avoid injuring themselves. However, Red declared that he still couldn't, as she would still feel pain even if she couldn't suffer injuries. Red started training his swordsmanship the next day. He was so rusty that he thought Danon would be disappointed. While Red was resting with Rit, Urandrala arrived, immediately bringing up his spar with Danon, so Red was surprised that she already knew about it. Urandrala suggested that Red train with her. Rit was confused since Urandrala was a spirit mage, so Urandrala explained that she was actually the founder of the famous Lotus-style staff technique. And Red added that the famous book 100 Strategies, The Beauty of War, was also compiled by her. Afterwards, Urandrala explained that it would be hard for Red to regain his past skills, but she was certain that he could possess a different type of strength from all the experience he gained since moving to Zoltan. Red was enlightened. He thought he should focus his training on his strengths. Seeing his determination, Urandrala immediately planned the training camp and asked Rit to come as well. Rudy and Tis also joined, and Rudy was overjoyed that she and Red sounded like couples who met up for a date. However, Tis was more worried if Red could survive training with Rudy. Red explained that he taught her swordsmanship so it shouldn't be a problem. Danon also showed up to join them. Red had already expected this, and he happily agreed. While Red was preparing the tents with Rit and Urandrala, Tis had already collected some firewood. Rudy and Danon also did, but they were lectured by Urandrala as they actually pulled out some trees to compete on who could collect more. Afterwards, they decided to have lunch, but they didn't have enough servings as Danon joined them unexpectedly. Rudy gave him his portion, as hunger was still a new experience for her, but Tis and Urandrala still wanted to share their portions with her too. Seeing this, Red decided to just separate each dish and have everyone grab whichever they wanted. Danon immediately tried the sausage, and he was speechless at its delicious taste. Danon thought it had been a while since the heroes' party gathered. Although they had already lost Ares, they knew that Theodora was the masked knight named Escarlata, as she was the only knight they knew who could beat a demon lord's army general. While declaring that he would try to regroup with Theodora to hunt down the demon lord's army general, Danon and Urandrala fought for the remaining sautéed duck, but Rudy effortlessly took it from them. Afterwards, the group finally started training, although Rudy decided to shower under the waterfall instead while Mr. Crawley Wally happily soaked in the water, and they only made their way back to the training camp before sunset. While training, Danon noticed that Red's swordsmanship would change based on what he was facing, so he thought their sparring would be fun, and he was looking forward to it. After their meal, Red and Rit took a bath together. They thought Danon was the second strongest human behind Rudy, but Red knew that their sparring wasn't really about winning, as it would be a way for him to show Danon how he had chosen to live his life. Urandrala cast merciful spells on both Red and Danon to prevent them from getting injured, while Rudy gave the signal to start the battle. During their first exchange, Red's slashes were fast enough to keep up with Danon, leaving them in a stalemate. And even when Danon managed to disarm Red, Red managed to dodge his punch, counter, and throw him away. Danon was totally impressed with Red. He knew he was superior in strength, but he failed to get the upper hand. However, he already found a way to win. He knew Red was only predicting his attacks, so it was enough to just use attacks that were unfamiliar to Red. The two declared that they would give it everything they'd got before they charged at each other, and Danon was determined to go beyond his full strength if it was what he needed to do to win, while Red was determined to use everything he gained in life to match him. However, like everyone had expected, Danon overpowered Red in the end to gain the victory. Red thought he was a goner without the merciful spell, but Danon was impressed. Although Danon couldn't understand the slow life that Red had wanted, he could still see Red's strength, and he thought he was still the same powerful person that he respected, so he wished him happiness and the best in his slow life. Red was thankful, and he has the same respect for Danon, whose life was about getting stronger in continuous battle. Afterwards, Rudy also asked to spar with Danon, which made Tis worried. However, Danon was actually delighted, although Rudy slammed his face to the ground in mere seconds. After returning from training, Red was surprised to see Albert waiting for him. After greeting each other, Red asked if Theodora had returned with him. Albert replied that he came alone to bring a message from her. Red was curious, so Albert immediately explained that a new hero named Van Flamberge had emerged and he could make his way to Zoltan to take the former Demon Lord's airship. At the same time, Van and Lavender entered a pub before a commotion broke out as someone with a wrongdoer's blessing had killed someone. And it wasn't enough for him as he dared everyone around him to come at him to avenge the person he killed. However, Van recognized his wrongdoer's blessing and beheaded him without a second thought. Esta arrived after this. She asked what had happened, so Van explained that he had killed a murderer. Van was surprised when Esta wanted the full details about the murder and questioned him for killing the murderer instead of capturing him. Van couldn't understand the need for these, so Esta explained that every person's life involves more than their blessing's urges, and everyone has their own free will. However, Van declared that she was mistaken, as all of his battles were offerings to demis, and every person with a wrongdoer's blessing was meant to lose their life to someone, so the murderer fulfilled his role by dying in his hands. He also added that he even felt that he had grown as a hero after killing the murderer, and his blessing would surely save the world. Esta was confused, but Lubo arrived and praised him as a hero. Van thought he was still a hero by name as he hadn't fought the demon army yet, and was nothing compared to Rudy, but Lubo didn't say anything about it as he declared that they were heading to Zoltan. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to drop a like if you enjoy this video, and please subscribe so you won't miss the next part, and just comment down any anime you want to see in this channel.